Hello and welcome. We are on page number 1 of chapter 5. So, in this session, we are commencing chapter number 5 of GST ICA study material for intermediate course. This chapter 5 is divided into two parts or two units for that matter. Unit 1 deals with the time of supply and unit 2 deals with the value of supply. First, what we will understand is what do you mean by or what is the time of supply under GST. Now, after completion of this unit, what you will be able to understand? You will be able to understand the point 1, the liability to pay GST arises in respect of supply of goods or services, that too where the supply is made and chargeable under forward charge. You will be able to understand the point of time or the time of supply on goods, on supply of goods or services where GST is payable on reverse charge. What will be the time of supply in respect of vouchers exchanged for goods or services? What is the time of supply in respect of supply of goods and services in relation to residual cases? Means not a forward charge, not a reverse charge, or it is not a supply. If any, how to determine the time of supply if the situation does not fall in any of the three situations here. Sometimes what will happen is the value of the supply will be enhanced by way of interest or late fee or penalty for delayed payment of consideration. Then what will be the time of supply in respect of the enhanced consideration? Also, you will apply the concept of time of supply in problem solving. So these are all the objectives of learning this chapter or unit. So in time of supply, this time of supply is divided into two parts. One is time of supply of goods, another one is time of supply of services. Now in goods, you will understand forward charge, reverse charge means supply of good, forward charge, what is the time of supply? Supply of good, reverse charge, what is the time of supply? Supply of good, vouchers, what is the time of supply? Supply of goods, residuary cases, what is the time of supply? Next, coming to services. Supply of service, forward charge, what will be the time of supply? Supply of service, reverse charge, what is the time of supply? Supply of service, vouchers are given which can be exchangeable in future for service, what will be the time of supply? Supply of service, residuary cases, what will be the time of supply? So all these things we will be able to understand in the coming paragraphs or in the coming pages. Now GST is payable on supply of goods or service, that we already know. A supply will consist of many elements. A supply will consist of many elements. For example, I am purchasing goods or I am selling the goods. What happened? What I am doing is supply of goods. But however, the supply of goods in all cases may not be instant. For example, in respect of certain supply of goods, what I have done is first I have received an order. That fellow will call it as purchase order, I will call it as sales order. Later what I have done, arranged for dispatch. Later what I have done, I have raised the invoice, actual dispatch. Next, What happened? Goods reached the buyer or the receiver. The buyer or the receiver paid me by way of a check. I deposited the check in my bank account. Next, the amount got credited. The amount got credited in my bank account. My dear friends, all these transactions or all these components of the supply, a single supply, did not happen in one day. They happened in on different dates. They happened on different dates. Point number one. Coming to point number two. Out of all these 8 events, 3 events took in March. The rest of the events took in April, whereby the year itself, financial year itself has changed. What will be the time of supply in respect of this single transaction of supply? That we should be able to understand and analyze by this chapter. So, yet which of these point of time GST become payable? Now, is GST become payable when the agreement is entered, or when the goods are dispatched, or where the services are provided, or when the invoice is issued, or when the actual payment is made? If goods are shipped over a period of time, means I need to dispatch 20,000 units of material. I am dispatching in parts, because in one goods carriage only 5,000 parts will be able to be accommodated. Therefore, for 20,000 parts, I have to send in the 4 consignments, right? But the entire 20,000 parts is a single supply, in my view, right? So, if and also coming to service, what will happen where a single service is provided over a period of time? Now, the time of supply unit charge chapter, what we are going to learn, will provide answers to all of these queries. So, when the liability to pay, next, the time of supply is also important, and when you have to pay the tax. If it is intrastate supply, it will be CGST, SGST. If it happens to be interstate supply, it will be IGST. Of course, for intrastate supply, CGST is compulsory. Second component is SGST or UTGST. Right? So, time of supply is a point, and the actual payment of tax is another point. Now, what is CGST? Sorry. Sorry. What the CGST Act provides is, for supply of goods there is a separate section. For determining the time of supply of goods, it is section number 12. For determining the time of supply of service, it is section number 13. But there is also section number 14, which will determine the method for determining the time of supply if there is a change in the rate of tax on supply of goods or services. Sometimes what will happen is, in this example, what we have seen, there are so many events in respect of a single supply. What happened is, after this date there is a notification. Previously this good was chargeable at the rate of 12%. Now this good is chargeable only at the rate of 5%, effective from this date. Now by this time I have already commenced my transaction. Some of the events in the transactions have already been completed, and the rest of the transactions events in the transaction will be completed after the applicability of this notification, which changes the rate from 12% to 5%. Now on this supply, what is the rate of tax that will be applicable? Those provisions are contained in section number 14. However, section number 14 we are not going to learn at the intermediate stage of CA course, but it will be learned in the final stage of the CA course. That has been clarified by way of this note number 1. This will be section number 14 will be discussed at a final level. Next, also we should understand that section 12 dealing with the time of supply relating to goods, section number 13 relating to time of supply of services. You have to learn both these sections in conjunction with section number 31. In conjunction with section number 31. What does section number 31 deal with? It deals with the issue of invoice. For determining the time of supply of good or time of supply of a service, one of the component that has to be taken into consideration is the date of issue of invoice. Section 31 comprises or provides the provisions relating to the issue of invoice. So 12 and 13 has to be learnt in conjunction with section number 31. However, in our intermediate course, the invoice related provisions are contained in chapter 8. But for a better understanding, what we will be doing is, we will be learning the section 31 provision per se in this chapter itself, in order to get a better understanding of time of supply for determining time of supply in respect of good or service. For determining the time of supply, certain issues have to be taken into consideration, or certain points have to be taken into consideration, like the date of issuing the invoice, the date of receipt of payment, the date of provision of service, the date of receipt of services in the books of accounts. All these points will be taken into consideration for determining the time of supply when when the tax on supply is payable under the forward charge. Of course, certain other considerations or maybe certain conditions which have been being discussed now will also have to be taken into consideration for determining the time of supply of good or service in respect of reverse charge. Now, basically, currently we are in a forward charge. Also, when the reverse charge, what will be the time of supply for reverse charge will depend upon certain events, like when the goods are received in respect of reverse charge on goods, what is the date of making the payment for goods or services. These items have to be determined and analyzed to in order to determine what is the time of supply. Now, why are you determining, why is the time of supply so important? The time of supply is so important for the tax collection event. So the government has to collect tax. Will the government suppose Mr. A has supplied goods. A supplied goods. A supplied goods. during financial year 2020-21. Does it mean that the government is going to wait for the taxes until the completion of the financial year 2021? No. Government cannot wait that much time, because government have the need of money continuously. So when A has made a supply in the month of April 2020, the government can't wait until the completion of the year 2021 to collect a tax. So time of supply will be determined for a supply. Based upon the time of supply, the tax have to be paid within the prescribed time. So the time of payment of tax is determined by the time of supply. Time of supply is dependent upon certain events like date of issue of invoice, date of receipt of payment, date of provision of service, date of recording the receipt in the books of account. So on these items, the time of supply is determined. Based upon the time of supply, the date of payment is determined. The date of payment of tax is determined. Now, what we will be doing is, we will learn the provisions as contained in section 12 and 13. Later on, what we will do is, we will analyze and try to understand. Also, certain definitions are required for understanding the terms contained in section 12, section 13 and section 31. Most of the definitions of the terms which we come across in section 12, 13 and 31 have already been discussed and understood by us in our preceding chapters 1 and 2. Most of the definitions we have learned in chapter number 1 and 2. Now, the provisions contained in section 12, 13 and 31 of the CGST Act relates to intrastate supplies. Now, what about the time of supply in respect of interstate supply? It is dealt in IGST Act. Of course, the section number is 20. Now, we have to learn certain definitions. What are the definitions? Associated enterprise. What do you mean by associated enterprise? It will have the same meaning assigned to it in 92A of the Income Tax Act 1961. Now, what does the 92A of the Income Tax Act provide for? It states that an associated enterprise in relation to another enterprise means an enterprise which participates directly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries in the management or control or capital of the other enterprise. There is one X Limited, there is one Y Limited, there is one Z Limited. Now I want to know whether X Limited is an associated enterprise with Z Limited. Now X Limited is able to control directly Z Limited. X Limited is able to directly participate in the management of Z Limited. X Limited controls Y Limited through X Limited controls Z Limited through Y Limited. Right? X Limited invested in Y Limited, Y Limited in turn invested in Z Limited, that too capital. So these are the situations wherein two entities or enterprises will be considered as associated enterprises. What do you mean by document? Documents means written, printed record or any electronic record as defined in section 2 clause T of the Information Technology Act. Now this has been defined in section 2 subsection 41 of the CGST Act. Now what do you mean by good? My dear friends, we defined and understood the meaning of good in our chapter 1 or 2. If you want to have a revision of the definition of good, you must please refer those videos and you understand. Again, explaining the term, the meaning of good here will be a matter of duplication. If you want, you may go to that video of chapter number 1 or chapter number 2, I don't remember correctly. There we have already defined the term good. What do you mean by prescribed? Prescribed was also defined, means anything prescribed under the rules made under this act on the recommendation of the council. What do you mean by reverse charge? We have already defined. Generally, the tax is payable, GST is payable by the person providing the supply. But in certain cases, what will happen is the recipient has to pay. What are those circumstances? 9394 we have already dealt in our preceding chapter. What do you mean by service? My dear friends, we defined service also in chapter number 1 or 2. What do you mean by supplier? What do you mean by recipient? Also these definitions we have covered in our earlier chapter. Now, voucher definition we did not cover. What do you mean by voucher? Voucher means an instrument. Voucher means an instrument where there is an obligation to accept it as a consideration or part of consideration for supply of good or service or both, and where the good or service are both to be supplied or the identities of their potential suppliers are either indicated on the instrument itself or in the related documentation, including the terms and conditions of use of such instrument. So voucher means an instrument. Now there is an obligation to accept it as a consideration or as a part of the consideration. My dear friend, you went to a shop in a shopping mall. The salesperson there informed you that, my dear friend, if you purchase clothes worth of 5000 rupees, we will be giving you a coupon or a voucher worth 2000 rupees, which you can redeem at any of our stores in India within a period of 6 months against a purchase of 10,000 rupees. Now you have to buy with 5000 rupees. What you will get? You will get a 2000 voucher. What you should do that with the 2000 voucher? Within a period of 6 months, you can again come to this fellow and buy clothes worth of 10,000. Then what he will do? He will reduce the 2000 from that. Now what you have to do? Buy 5000. What you will get? 2000 voucher. 2000 voucher. What you have to do? Within 6 months you come back again. Buy worth of 10,000 clothes. But what he will do? He will reduce this 2000 and the balance 8000 only you have to pay. Right? Now this is the term, or this is how you should understand the meaning of the voucher. Now we will go into the statutory provisions. Friends, what we will do now? Just we will browse through the statutory provision. Just we will browse through the statutory provision, because we are going to analyze each and every subsection or clause in the subsequent paragraphs. So first we will get a bird's eye view. First what we will get? A bird's eye view we will get. Right? We already understood that The provisions relating to time of supply are contained in section 11 and section 12 of the CGST Act. 12 deals with time of supply of goods, 13 deals with time of supply of service. Also, we have to read in conjunction section 31 also, because section 31 deals with the provisions relating to issue of invoice. In order to understand the time of supply in better way, we also, apart from section 12 and 13, we should also go through section 31 simultaneously or in conjunction. Now, what does 12 subsection 1? And section 12 deals with time of supply of goods. The liability to pay tax on goods shall arise at the time of supply as determined in accordance with the provisions of this section. Very good. It is an opening remark. Subsection 2 is important. Crux of it. The time of supply of goods shall be earlier of the following dates. Date of issue of invoice by the supplier, or the last date on which he is required to issue invoice under section 31, or the date on which the supplier receives the payment with respect to the supply, whichever is earlier. Means very simple. It is very simple to understand. What is the time of supply of goods? Time of supply of goods can be divided into two parts. Invoice is issued in time. Invoice not issued in time. Means time as prescribed under section 31 of the CGST Act. If invoice is issued in time, then date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. If invoice is not issued within the time, last date for issue of invoice, or date of payment, whichever is earlier. So if the invoice is issued in time, what is the time of supply? If invoice is not issued within time, what will be the time of supply? That we have understood. So the date of issue of invoice by the supplier, or the date on which supplier receives the payment. So what you can here do is, here date of receipt of payment, date of receipt of payment, date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. I will repeat once again. If invoice is issued within time, then date of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice is not issued within time as prescribed under section 31, then the last date for the issue of invoice or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Next, we will move on. Provided that there is a provision to this, where the supplier of taxable goods receives an amount of up to 1000 rupees in excess of the amount of indicated in the invoice, the time of supply to the extent of such excess at the opinion of the said option of the said supplier be the date of issue of invoice in respect of such excess amount. Friends, we will analyze this at a later point of our discussion. You just keep in mind that there is a proviso to section 12 subsection 2 wherein if any amount is received in excess of the invoice amount up to 1000 rupees, there is an option to pay tax on such excess amount at the time of issuance of invoice for that excess amount. Now the example etc. we will understand at a later point of time. Now we have two explanations for 12 subsection 2. What are they? The provisions of for the purpose of clause A and B, the supply shall be deemed to have been made to the extent it is covered by the invoice or as the case may be the payment. So the supply is deemed to have been made to the extent it is covered by the invoice or to the extent it is covered by the payment. We will also understand what is the meaning of this explanation. In explanation 2, for the purpose of clause B, the date on which the supplier receives the payment shall be the date on which the payment is entered in his books of accounts or the date on which the payment is credited in his bank account, whichever is earlier. Now, one of the point that is to be taken into consideration for determining the time of supply in respect of good is date of receipt of payment. So what do you mean by date of receipt of payment? Date of receipt of payment means the date on which the payment is entered in the books or the date on which the payment is created in the bank account, whichever is earlier. Okay. This also we will discuss by way of an example in our subsequent paragraphs. Now coming to subsection 3. In case of supplies in respect of which tax is payable or paid on a reverse charge basis, the time of supply shall be the earliest of the following. Now what we are dealing with? We are dealing with reverse charge goods. The date of receipt of goods or the date of payment as entered in the books of account of the recipient or the date of payment on which the amount is debited in the bank account or whichever is earlier. So earlier of this or the date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice or any other document by whatever name called in lieu of the supplier. You have to take the earlier of date of recipient of good. Now here there are multiple earliers. Earlier of the following date. So first what you have to do, take the earlier of this date. Again take the earlier of these two. From here you will get 1. Here it is 1, 2. Earlier of this will become A. This is B. Earlier of A or B. We will do one thing. Now, what is the time of supply in respect of reverse charge of goods? Earlier of these 3. A, B, C, whichever is earlier. Now in B there are 2 points again. In B there are 2 points. What are those? Date of payment as entered in the books of accounts or date on which the payment is debited in bank account, whichever is earlier. So here you have 1 point, 2 points A, B. You have to take out 1. This is point 2, this is point 1, this is point 3. So earliest of these 3. Right? Earlier of A or B or C. Again B has 2 points. In B what you have to do? Earlier of two sub-points in B. If it is not possible to determine the time of supply under A, B, C or C, the time of supply shall be date of entry in the books of accounts of the recipient of supply. Okay, you are unable to determine the receipt of goods, date of receipt of goods. You are unable to determine the date of payment entered in the books. You are unable to determine the date immediately following 30 days. Now, in respect of these cases, what will happen? The time of supply will be the date on which the entry is recorded in the books of accounts of the recipient. Now, coming to vouchers. The time of supply in respect of vouchers will be date of issue of voucher if the supply is identifiable, or the date of redemption of voucher in all other cases. If what is the supply you are going to or able to identify at the time of issue of voucher, then the time of supply for such voucher will be the date of issue of the voucher. If you are unable to determine or identify the supply, then the date on which the voucher gets redeemed will be the date of or time of supply. Where it is not possible to determine the time of supply under subsection 2, 3, 4, then if periodical returns has to be filed, the date on which such return is to be filed, or in any other case by the date on which the tax is paid, will be the time of supply. We will analyze this 12 subsection 5 at a later point of time. All these subsections we will analyze. Coming to the time of supply, to the extent it relates to an addition in the value of supply by way of interest, late fee, penalty for delayed payment of any consideration, shall be the date on which the supplier receives such addition in the value. When the amount is received, then it will be chargeable to tax. Next, tax invoice. The provisions of tax invoice we are going to discuss only the relevant parts which are required for the purpose of understanding the time of supply in a better manner. A registered person supplying taxable goods shall before or at the time of removal of goods for supply to the recipient, where the supply involves the movement of goods or delivery of goods or making available thereof to the recipient in any other case, issue a tax invoice showing the description, quantity, value of goods, the tax charged thereon, and such other particulars as may be prescribed. So when you have to issue invoice, invoice has to be issued within or at the time of removal of goods, where the goods involve movement of, where the supply involves movement of goods. If supply does not involve movement of goods, then the invoice has to be issued at the time when delivery of goods or making them available thereof will be the time at which you have to issue a tax invoice. Invoice should contain certain particulars that we will learn in detail in that chapter. Provided the government may, on the recommendation of the council, by notification specify the category of goods or supplies in respect of which tax invoice shall be issued within such time and in such manner as may be prescribed. Now, where there is continuous supply of goods, where successive statements of accounts or successive payments are involved, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of each such statement is issued, or as the case may be, each such payment is received. Where the goods are sent or taken on approval for sale or return are removed before the supply takes place, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of supply or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So for share or approval basis, the invoice is to be issued latest within on the expiry of 6 months. Okay, or before the expiry of 6 months. If 6 months expired, immediately you have to issue. Right, this also we will discuss in detail. Now what it has been given here is section 12, you should read with section 31, because understanding 31 is also important to understand section 12. Now friends, we are only dealing with time of supply in respect of goods, both in forward charge as well as a reverse charge, as well as vouchers, as well as where you are unable to determine in any of the above 3 points. Unable to determine by any of the above 3 points, then also what will be the time of supply we will be understanding. Now we will go into analysis part of section 12. So what does section 12 provides? It provides for determination of time of supply where the supplier of goods is liable to pay tax, means forward charge. Means forward charge. Supplier of goods, supply of goods are taxable on reverse charge. One is forward charge, the next one is reverse charge. Another one is with respect to vouchers. Next one is residuary cases. And the next one is there is an addition to the value of supply of goods. So in these 5 cases, we are going to understand what is the time of supply. What are those cases? Forward charge, reverse charge, vouchers, residuary cases, addition in the value of supply. Now, what we will do is, we will go into how time of supply is determined in each of the above 5 situations. Supply of goods where supplier is liable to pay tax, that is forward charge. You are analyzing section 12 subsection 2 with section 31. As per section 12 subsection 2, what it has been mentioned, the time of supply of goods, general provision. If it is a forward charge, then already here we have understood it by way of an example. Why I am unable to go into the board, whiteboard. Right here. If the invoice is issued within time as prescribed under section 31, then date of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. If it is not issued within time, the last date for issue of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. The same thing will be repeated here. So the time and date of issue of invoice or the last date on which invoice ought to have been issued, to the extent invoice covers the supply of goods, or date of receipt of payment to the extent the payment covers the supply of goods, whichever is earlier. Now, exemption from payment of tax on advances received for supply of goods. Special procedure for payment of tax in case of supply of goods. Now the time of supply is linked with the payment of tax. Liability to pay tax arises at the time of supply, and the same is to be paid within the prescribed due date. Okay. Now, in exercise of the powers given to the central government under section 148, 148 section will be discussed at a final level. What does section 148 provide? The government, on the recommendation of the council and subject to such conditions and safeguards, notify certain class of registered persons and special procedures to be followed by such persons, including those with regard to registration, furnishing of return, payment of tax and administration of such purposes. So on the recommendation of the council, the central government has the power to notify certain procedures with regard to certain classes of registered person in relation to registration, filing of returns, payment of tax, administration of such persons. Now, the date of receipt of payment plays a role in determining the time of supply. I am a supplier of good. Now, the date of invoice or date of pay. I have issued invoice within the prescribed time as prescribed under section 31. Let us say I have issued invoice on 5th of September. Date of invoice. Date of receipt of payment is 1st of September. Now what will be the time of supply? If invoice is issued within time, date of issue of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. So my time of supply is 1st of September. However, on the recommendation of the GST Council, the central government made some relaxation in respect of advances on goods. How can it give relaxation? Based upon the power drawn by it from section 148. Now, a notification has been issued dated 15/11/2017. The notification number is 66/2017. A registered person, excluding composition supplier, shall pay GST on the outward supply of goods at the time of supply as specified in 12(2)(a), that is the date of issue of invoice or the last date on which the invoice ought to have been issued in terms of section 31. That means in subsection 2, this provision is made inapplicable for the time being. This provision is made inapplicable. As per subsection 2, A or B, whichever is earlier. But what this notification has done, this notification has suppressed this point. Means now what is the time of supply in respect of goods, date of issue of goods, date of issue of invoice, or the last date on which invoice is ought to have been issued under section 31, whichever is earlier. That's all. Okay. Next. So in simple words, what we can take, all taxpayers except composition suppliers are exempted from paying GST at the time of receipt of advance in relation to supply of goods. The entire GST shall be payable only when the invoice for supply of such goods is issued or is ought to have been issued. Means date of invoice or the last date on which the invoice is ought to have been issued, whichever is earlier. Now coming to a composition supplier, he has to pay in lieu of tax payable by him an amount calculated at the prescribed rate applied on his turnover in the state or union territory for the quarter. Therefore, composition supplier is also not required to pay tax on advance received because it does not form part of taxable supply and it does not form part of a turnover in state or union territory at the end of the quarter. Because this fellow composition supplier, the payment of tax is in a different mode. Now we have this clarification has been given by CBIC GST flyer on chapter 6 GST on advance received for future supplies. So composition taxpayer will also not pay tax on advance received in respect of goods, and normal regular taxpayers will also not pay advance received for supply of goods. Friends, we will conclude this session here, and we will meet in the next session.